Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you're all having a great week so far. In today's episode for your Thursday, we're going to be talking about this hearing that just went down in America that is all about protecting the pride and defending the civil rights of LGBTQ plus Americans. Now, for me personally, right, and I don't know how you feel, this is very serious. I don't think that name is inclusive in itself. It's missing some key components. Where are the LGBTQIA plus Americans? Where are the LGBTQIA2S plus Americans? It's all very upsetting, and I fully expect some hashtags to be coming out in the next coming days, but I'm sure we'll make it through this video nonetheless despite my frustration. Now, this hearing went viral for multiple reasons. We had Riley Gaines attend the hearing, and we also had this woke activist that goes by the name of Kelley Robinson, who was claiming all sorts of things. She was saying rights were being taken away, etc, etc. And in America today, especially today, LGBTQ plus communities feel so disenfranchised with all that's going on. Take a listen.
On behalf of HRC's more than 3 million members and supporters, I've come here today with a single message. The LGBTQ plus people of the United States are living in a state of emergency. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a dramatization. More than 525 anti-LGBTQ plus bills have been introduced this year in the states. More than 220 of those bills target the transgender community, many targeting children, transgender children.
Yeah, so clearly, obviously, to this person, you know, if you don't support any of the narratives, any of the agendas, if you go against it, you're the one that's in the wrong. You know, if you support women's safe spaces, women's sports, then they don't want to hear from you. You're the bad person. For example, if you don't agree with Leah Thomas competing in the women's division, they don't want to hear from you. If you don't agree with kids making irreversible changes to their bodies, you're the bigot, you're the transphobe. And apparently all the things we've just listed qualifies for the LGBTQ plus communities to be disenfranchised, at a disadvantage, when in reality, there's always going to be somebody complaining about a community, XYZ community, being at a disadvantage, because unless everybody stands for everything, so in the end they stand for nothing, there's always going to be somebody making a complaint. If one state, for example, if one country adopts a different worldview to the progressives, to the liberals, then the world must stop spinning and everything must change. Although I do think with everything going on, the earth is definitely spinning in a different direction. I think you'll agree with me on that one. But as I said, Riley Gaines was also at attendance in this hearing, giving her testimony, her thoughts on this whole thing. And we all know Riley Gaines has become such an inspiration for so many girls out there, so many women out there, in speaking out against women's safe spaces, women's sports being taken away from them. We all know what her and other swimmers experienced in the Leah Thomas situation, and this is how she started off her emotional speech at this LGBTQ plus hearing. Take a listen.
Good morning, Senators. My name is Riley Gaines, and I'm an advisor for Independent Women's Voice. I recently graduated from the University of Kentucky, where I was a member of the UK's women's swim and dive team. I proudly finished my career as a 12-time NCAA All-American, a 5-time SEC champion, the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time, a 2-time Olympic trial qualifier, SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year, and SEC Community Service Leader of the Year. But all of that to say that it's a lifelong journey competing at that level, and it's impossible to put into words the amount of sacrifice and dedication that it takes. On March 17th of 2022, my teammates and I, as well as female swimmers from universities around the country, were forced to compete against biological male Leah Thomas. Thomas was allowed to compete in the women's division after competing as a member of the University of Pennsylvania's men's swim team for 3 years as Will Thomas. We watched on the side of the pool as Thomas swam to a national title in the 500 freestyle, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female swimmers in the country, including many Olympians and American record holders, by body lengths. Previously, Thomas had been ranked 462nd at best in the men's division the year prior. The next day, I raced Thomas in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. Having only one trophy, the NCAA handed it to Thomas and told me I had to go home empty-handed. And when I asked why, which was a question they were not prepared to be asked, I actually appreciate their honesty, because they said, Thomas, it was crucial Thomas had it for picture purposes. Thomas had to have it for the pictures. I felt betrayed. I felt belittled. I felt reduced to a photo op. But my feelings didn't matter. What mattered to the NCAA were the feelings of a biological male. In 1972, Congress enacted Title IX to end unjust sex discrimination in all aspects of education, including college athletics. But by allowing Thomas to displace female athletes in the pool and on the podium, the NCAA intentionally and explicitly discriminated on the basis of sex. Although the NCAA claimed it acted in the name of inclusion, its policies in fact excluded female athletes, which are the very female athletes whom Title IX was passed to protect. But that is not all. In addition to being forced to give up our awards and our titles and our opportunities, the NCAA forced me and my female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male equipped with and exposing male genitalia. Let me be clear about this. We were not forewarned we would be sharing a locker room. No one asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent. And I'll set the scene. A swimming locker room is not a place of modesty. You're undressing, you're fully exposed, and we were forced to take off our swimsuit in front of a man who was doing the exact same thing. If nothing else, I truly hope how you can see this as a violation of our right to privacy and how some of us have felt uncomfortable, embarrassed, and even traumatized by this experience.
You know, the fact she still gets emotional about this says a lot. It just shows how much she cares about this, how much it's affected her, and how much she wants to make change. The unfortunate thing is, still today, there are many big establishments who only care about people's thoughts, feelings, and opinions if it aligns with woke ideology, left ways of thinking. Anybody who cared about the women in that locker room, changing room, wouldn't have allowed Leah Thomas to get changed with them. They didn't even ask for consent. They just allowed them to do it. They put somebody's individual's truth on a pedestal ahead of a large majority. And again, you know, as we always say, this is a situation that leftist liberals say, oh no, it doesn't happen. They're just simply making it up. It's all a myth. It is a lie. Okay. Right. Now, Kelley Robinson, the woke activist, again voiced a lot of opinions surrounding this whole debate, and one of the guys asked her, look, do you think males have a physical advantage over women in sport? And her response left the guy speechless. He didn't really know what to say, and Riley Gaines chimed in and absolutely blew her out of the water. Take a look.
Male, female, boy, girl, okay? Biologically, do males have an advantage over females biologically in sports?
Again, I'm not a physician, and I can't speak to that.
What's your real world experience?
It depends. I mean, there are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, you know, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Okay. I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I think you lose a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want the world to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against because of an immutable characteristic. I don't. And I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business. But if what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult, if I decide I want to tell somebody's child about it, then other people have rights too. And I think parents have rights. And I think biological females have rights to be able to compete fairly in sport. In sports. So I really I really think you hurt your credibility when you refuse to acknowledge that biological males have an advantage over biological females. It kind of makes me wonder about all your testimony. Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Chairman.
Kennedy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is that there is not a definitive advantage in all cases. Sir, I don't know if you believe that you could beat Serena Williams in tennis, but I probably think that that's not the case.
So I'm just in the editing process of this video, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna have to interject here. I do apologize about how long this video is gonna be, but I've just seen another clip of Kelley Robinson answering a question from Senator Ted Cruz, where he asks her if there is a difference between women and men, and she couldn't even answer the question. And remember, this is the person who is the president of the Human Rights Campaign. Clearly, we no longer hire people based on common sense. Take a watch.
Ms. Robinson, do you agree with Ms. Gaines that there's a difference between women and men?
If the question is about trans women,
I'm just asking, is there a difference between women and men?
what I can say here is that the NCAA has rules in place. They've had rules in place for the last decade, and when this competition
Okay, I'm
happened,
going to try again.
the rules were clear.
Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? It's a yes/no question. Do you believe there's a difference?
Oh, I think that we're talking about this case with the NCAA.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you believe there's a difference between women and men? Most people could answer this very simply. I'm curious if you're willing to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just putting it into the context of the
Is that a yes?
conversation that we're having. I think that there are definitions related to sex.
Is
but
that
I
a
also
yes?
think
So I'm
that
trying to
when
get a yes or no. I'm not trying to get a speech.
I'm
Is there a difference between women and men?
I think that there are definitions for biological sex.
Okay, so you're
which
not
is
answering
different
that.
than
Let me ask
gender.
you this question then. Why do women's sports exist? If you can't define a difference between women and men, why not abolish women's sports and just tell little girls to swim with little boys and see who wins?
Oh, I'm simply saying that that sex is different
question,
than gender.
why
and I do
do-
believe
why
that
do
women's
women's
sports
sports
have a great
exist?
value. I mean, Senator, I'll tell you right
Ms.
now.
Robinson, please answer the question I'm asking you.
Absolutely.
Why do women's sports exist?
I think that there are so many positive benefits to sports.
But
I mean,
why have a
we've talked
separate
about it here
category for
today.
women? If there's no difference between women and men, why to have women's sports?
Sometimes it is so hard to sit here and really think this is the state of the world we're in. You know, we're having conversations about an issue that really shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't have got this far. Kelley Robinson, the activist, has no life experience in this as far as I'm aware. She hasn't competed at an elite level in sport, yet she's trying to advocate for trans women competing in women's sports. I don't really know how she's qualified to speak about this. Her arguments are all about feelings and individual truths. Well, unfortunately, facts do not care about your feelings. Males will always be physically stronger than women. They will always have that physical advantage. Riley Gaines then comes in and dismantles her whole Serena Williams case, and after that you really just got to stop paying attention to her if they didn't in the very beginning, you know, because what she says is just absolutely ridiculous. Even the guy says, look, your testimony really has no legitimacy because of how much you deny the truth, men being physically stronger than women, which is kind of strange to me, right? Because we've been placed in a world today where people who actively deny the truth, these activists, they've been given so much power to shape the direction of society, where now today we're living in this world where delusion has become the mainstream almost, right? And I struggle to believe that Kelley Robinson, if she dedicated her life to a sport, trained every single day, gave everything, sacrificed a normal life, would still sit there and advocate for trans women to be in sport if she also experienced what Riley Gaines experienced and what many other women also experience in sports. If she trained for a sport and finished fourth because a dude finished third, do you think she's really going to sit there and be like, yeah, I still think men should be in women's sports? I struggle to believe she would do that. But because she's got no life experience, no experience within this category, she can sit there and say all she likes, which again, I'll say, I don't know how she's qualified to even sit there and talk about this issue. It's a clown world we're living in, and common sense is so hard to find. It blows my mind that we're sat here within hearings talking about these issues, and clearly, you know, fantasy and delusion is at everybody's doorstep. But that is the end of the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed today. If you could, please make sure to leave a like rating, leave your comments down below about this whole situation. How do you guys feel about this? Share this video. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. But until next time, until tomorrow, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.